Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Tuesday, February 9th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. So it's 2 days after the Chiefs' Super Bowl loss, but there's still plenty to talk about. On Monday, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid met with reporters to provide second-day thoughts on Sunday's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mahomes spoke to the immediate future, the mood in the post-game locker room, and his amazing pass attempt to Darrel Williams that did not result in a completion. That and several other topics. After a break, we'll hear from Andy Reid about the Chiefs' offseason, some thoughts on the Super Bowl officiating, and he'll conclude with some comments on assistant coach and his son, Britt Reid, and that situation. So let's get started talking Chiefs and Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes.
We'll start first with Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Patrick, appreciate the time here. Tyreek, talking with us yesterday, basically said Todd Bowles and the game plan that he had was kind of the MVP of the game. Could you kind of describe us what was different from his game plan and how was it so effective?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game plan. They did a good job of kind of taking away our easy stuff with the corners kind of pressed down to the outsides. And then they made sure to keep people over the top of our speed guys, especially Tyreek. And the linebackers did a good job of finding Kels over the middle of the field. And then they just rallied to the ball and tackled. And then on third down, they kind of play like a two-manish type of look, but they really paid attention to Travis and to Tyreek. So, I mean, it was a good game plan. I mean, we had some good plays here and there, but overall they did a good job of finding ways to kind of stall our drives out, especially as we got closer to that 50-yard line.
Next, Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Patrick, can you just give us a sense of what your next, say, couple months will be like before you guys maybe get back together again? And Brad, I'll have one quick follow-up as well.
Yeah, I mean, today, as of today, I'm going to do whatever I can to kind of look at the film and try to find ways to get better. I mean, obviously with our offense and the success that we've had, when teams see that the defensive plan that he had and how well it worked, they're obviously going to try to do the same thing. And so try to find ways to combat that and kind of the evolution of our offense where we're going to have to do better things and be more efficient. And that really goes with me and not always looking for the big play, but just finding ways to move the ball down the field. And then just get back after it, man. I mean, you got to prepare yourself, find ways to better yourself physically, mentally. And then I become a dad. So I gotta work on becoming a better dad, even though I haven't even became one yet.
Yeah. And also kind of along those lines, are there specific things you going to be working on this offseason as opposed to just generic improvement? Are there parts of your game, whatever those might be, that you're going to be working on, say, before the start of camp?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I did a good job towards the end of the season of being more efficient. Obviously, didn't do that in the Super Bowl, but I'm going to try to find ways to better myself that way. I mean, just being more efficient, taking what's there, especially with these teams that are playing such deep coverages against us and moving the ball down the field. And it's something that I got to kind of battle with as I have such an aggressive nature and wanted to have the big play. But as I watch the film and really study myself, I'll have to get better at that, and so that I can kind of become a better quarterback at the end of the day.
Let's go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Patrick. Andy Reid was telling us just shortly ago that hopefully within the next week he hopes to have something done with Eric Bieniemy. What would it mean to you to have him back as your offensive coordinator as you look forward to trying to get back to another championship game?
Yeah, I mean, to have him back and the leader that he is in our locker room, it kind of sets the tone. It sets the culture, and obviously, I mean, he'll continue to improve our offense, and I think that's what's made our offense so good the last few years. Is if you look at the offense that we ran 2 years ago to the offense now, I mean, it's gotten better and better, and it's changed so much, and so. We can't just rely on the same things, the same plays. We have to keep getting better. We have to keep getting new plays. Just keep progressing as a unit. And I think having him back, along with Coach Reid, Coach Kafka, all these guys, will keep making us a hard offense to stop at the end of the day.
Let's go next to Vahe Gregorian. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Patrick.
guy, on this day a year ago, you're going to Disneyland and you're getting ready to have the parade and all that. And yet for all that stuff, you obviously had a great drive this season, great incentive, great, attempt to repeat. I wonder if you have a different sense already of how this will motivate you now, the feeling of losing the Super Bowl instead of winning it.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely motivate you. I mean, if you're a competitor and you get so close to your ultimate goal, and then you fall short, I mean, it's something that will motivate you for the rest of your career. I mean, it was a bad feeling in that locker room after the game. I mean, you don't want to have that feeling again. And so, we luckily enough, we'll have a lot of the same guys back, and we'll obviously add new guys, and we'll set the tone from the beginning of the year, beginning of the off season, that we have to be better. We have to be better than even we were this last year in order to go out there and win the Super Bowl.
Go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick, kind of related to that, but I'm wondering if you could give us a sense of the mood just in the locker room, and was the conversation more about what had gone wrong? Was it already looking ahead to next year? And how long do you anticipate that this will sit with this group?
Yeah, I think for like the first 5 minutes, it was quiet. I mean, guys were obviously taking everything in, not falling short, and then it just turned to we're gonna get back. I mean, we're gonna be back in that game, and it's not the end. It's not the end of something. It's going to be another chapter where we're going to have to continue to drive to make ourselves better, so that we're back in that game.
Go next to Soren Petro. Go ahead, Soren.
Patrick, Coach Reid talked a little bit about the personnel side of things. You just mentioned it. There'll be some new guys. He was asked about your interest in being involved in that. You have to play a role, right? Where you want to go with the ball and that kind of thing. So how much do you want to dive into the personnel and have input and talk about those things?
To me, I mean, I just go out there and play. I mean, I obviously. You look around and you want to have guys here, and you want to have guys on your roster, especially guys that you built relationships with. But at the end of the day, we have a great staff of guys that really scout and really look at players. Starting with Brett Veach, but I mean going all the way down. And I have a total belief in them that they're going to have good players on this team every single year. And that's the reason I signed the contract that I did, is I knew that we're going to have a great roster every single year I'm here.
Let's go next to Blair Kirchhoff. Go ahead, Blair.
Hey, Patrick, I just wanted to get you to recall what you remember about the incompletion to Darrel Williams late in the game when you were parallel to the ground. Is that a pass that you might not have attempted unless it was fourth and 9 or whatever it was? But just your recollection of that play.
Yeah, definitely a pass. The only attempt on fourth down, but I remember I was scrambling out and I was trying to get out to I was trying to get past that last guy on that edge there, because I knew if I got past it, by enough time to hopefully somebody could get open. And obviously he kind of clipped me, and it kind of tripped up my feet, and I wasn't going to go down without giving somebody a chance. And I saw red. I saw a red jersey. I didn't know it was Darrel. I just saw a red jersey, and I knew I had to find a way to throw it and give him a chance to catch the ball. And so I just put it up there, and obviously it came up short. But I mean, he battled for the ball, and we were trying. I mean, just like the whole game. I mean, we didn't make the plays, but the guys battled until the very end.
We've got 3 more. We'll start with Therese. Go ahead, Therese.
Hey, Patrick. Thanks for doing this. Quick question. There's been a lot of talk just about the team's reliance on 5-man protections against a great front last night. And I understand, like, football is a game of chess, so that doesn't mean that couldn't have worked, right? But from a purely football standpoint, maybe you can just shed some light on, like, what needed to happen for the reliance on 5-man protections to work.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, first off, we want to be ourselves. We really hadn't been really stopped with what we had been doing all year long. And so we wanted to, obviously we gave chips and we gave little extra protection hits and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we want to use our speed and use what we've been doing. And I thought the guys did a good job. I mean, we just didn't execute at a high enough level. I wasn't on the same page with the receivers on some plays. There were some plays where I got the line going in the wrong direction. And then at the end of the day, we didn't execute. And I think that's the biggest thing. And a lot of times it gets put on that O-line because I'm scrambling around. But if we're not executing as far as me making the right reads and getting the ball out of my hand to the receivers on time, then nothing's going to work. So they get that blame sometimes, but it's not deserved because, I mean, a lot of it's on me and people just don't see it that way.
We'll ask two, Harold and then Todd. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Patrick. Two quick questions. One, who do you turn to? You said last night how you hadn't lost like that in a while. Who do you turn to after a loss like that? And then also, who you turn to for fatherly advice outside of course, your own father?
As far as who I turn to, I just kind of keep it within the locker room. I mean, we have a lot of great leaders on this team, and being a competitor, you're going to lose games, but it's about how you respond. And I feel like we have a lot of good guys in this locker room that understand that, and they're already ready to get back after it. And then as far as the fathering part, I got a lot of good role models in my life. Of people that have been role models to me that I'll continue to ask questions to. Godfather LaTroy, all the coaches that I've grown up with. And there's a lot of great role models that I have around me, and I just kind of talk to them and learn a lot, and including players on the team that are dads on the team. There's luckily enough to being in the locker room like this, you have a lot of people that go through the same things as you do, and you're able to ask them many questions.
We'll ask Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Patrick, I don't even know if you can answer this yet, but what can you do now? The season's over. You made through all the protocols. Can you go back in the facility and work on film stuff at this point? And just what are your thoughts about possibly what this offseason is going to look like? Virtual OTAs, maybe again, things like that. What would your choice be there?
As far as going back into the facility, I believe if you're going to be in the facility, you still have to test. So I think that's what the protocols are. I'm sure they'll give us a full kind of detailed thing probably today in our meetings. I'm gonna try to be here as much as possible as far as that goes. And then as far as virtual or non-virtual OTAs, you just go in with an open mind either way. There's no like one choice or the other. I'll be ready for either one. To better myself either way. And I think that's we get to do, and we've kind of learned in this COVID world is you kind of have to have the mindset of whatever kind of challenges are thrown your way, you have to be able to accept that. And that goes for everything, not just meetings. And so I'll have that same mindset of accepting the challenge, whichever way it is.
Hi, Chiefs fans. This is Clark Hunt. If you have an urgent orthopedic or sports injury, the University of Kansas Health System is open, safe, and has extended hours to see you quickly. You deserve champion treatment from the experts who treat the Chiefs. Request an appointment at kansashealthsystem.com/sportsmedicine. We're proud that the University of Kansas Health System is the official healthcare provider of the Chiefs.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
So, obviously, the outcome of the game wasn't what we anticipated going in, nor wanted. I will just reflect just a little bit on and thank the fans for how great they were throughout the season during this crazy time. All of the department heads here with the Chiefs and the effort that they put forward, whether it was Rick Burkholder giving up his summer to do this with the protocol, Mitch Reynolds likewise, Kirsten Krug, Rocco, all the people that just really dedicated a ton of time to it. And then Mark Donovan obviously overlooking all of it. So, like all teams, we'll get busy here, going down the road. We'll take a little time off and then get ourselves back and refreshed and back and ready to attack this next season. So, there'll be things that we can improve on. We'll still have a good core of players coming back. We'll have some new additions. No team stays the same, obviously, in today's NFL. So we'll do that part. For the game, not much different than what I mentioned last night. I'm not going to go back and hit all the things that we did that I talked about last night, but I think the obvious was that we can't have as many penalties we had. It hasn't been us. Can't be as inefficient on the offensive side as what we were, in particular red zone thoughts, big red zone thoughts. Likewise on the defensive side, red zone was an issue. So third downs were fairly close, which is the critical situation. Not that it was good enough, not near good enough, but both teams were pretty close on that. The one thing that really jumps out is 100+ yards with 11 penalties. So I mean that's too much. Hard to overcome those type of things when you're going the wrong direction. So, anyways, with that, time's yours.
Let's go first to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. You mentioned entering the business side of football here shortly, probably in the next month. You got free agency, but you also have a coach who's a free agent, who's scheduled to be a free agent, Eric Bieniemy. A two-part question here. How close are you to a new deal with Eric Bieniemy, and what would it mean to the organization to have him back again for another shot at the championship?
Yeah, so EB and I have talked about that. Now let's keep that between us, and then we'll get everything worked out as we go here. We're coming off fresh on this. Herbie, we haven't had a whole lot of sleep, obviously, getting back here when we did. So, but we'll get all that settled this next week, and we'll see where everything goes.
Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. How much, when you do get together with Brett and his staff and you guys discuss what you want to do this offseason, how much will you weigh how it ended versus maybe the first 18 weeks and how the things went right over that course of the season?
Yeah, so that's what's important here about stepping back for an inch. You can kind of reflect and think and scheme eval and do those things. And we'll get right on our personnel evals here with the coaches this week and make sure we knock that out and then give that to Brett. It'll be important that when we do that as coaches and give our reports to Brett that we do just what you're saying, Sam, that we look at the whole picture and not necessarily make it off of one game.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, just curious what your advice is to Pat now as you guys head into this extended break here.
Yeah, so I'll talk to him. I haven't had a chance to meet with him on that yet. So I'll leave it at that. But, he'll continue to grow here. He's really, we were talking about 4 years and going into your fifth. So it's 3 years as a starter. And he's been very productive. And, he played his heart out last night. But like all of us, obviously it wasn't good enough. I mean, none of us, starting with me, can sit here and say that we really had our best game. So, but he sure has a great foundation and great drive to be the best. And so we'll regroup and we'll give him a few things that he can work on. And I'm sure he's got a few on his mind too. And we'll talk through it.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach, heading into the offseason, now that Mahomes is with the organization for what's expected to be the next decade, how much does that change considering he is a little bit older, you know each other well, where maybe he can potentially get more involved in the personnel plans with you and Brett and some of those talks in the offseason here, or is it just not at all? He's just going to focus on playing?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's kind of where he's at. He likes doing that. And he's kept it that way. So, but again, we talk, and Brett's got a great relationship with him, and if necessary to talk, I mean, we don't put a wall up there by any means. So, but yeah, I mean, I think most of all that Pat has full trust, as I do, in Brett and how he goes about doing it. So,
we'll go to Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Nick.
Andy, I'm curious for you. What lessons do you hope the players learn from last night and the season overall?
Yeah, so, well, it's tough to get here. I'm proud of the guys. I mean, I mentioned that last night, that it's not an easy road getting back. That's why most teams don't get back. And then if you do, most teams don't. You know, it's not always a guaranteed win. They were better than we were yesterday. We've made too many mistakes, whether it was me calling the plays, putting guys in the right position, or right down the line as you go. So you make that many mistakes against a good football team, and they weren't making as many mistakes, and you're not going to win at this level. So you gotta come into these games. You gotta be sharp.
Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy, excuse me. This is a little bit related to Sam McDowell's question earlier about sort of, dividing what just happened last night versus the first 18 games. But the offensive line, I'm not going to harp on last night, but like going forward, how many of the solutions are in-house? You guys had a ton of injuries. How much of that was strategy? How much of that is, personnel upgrades that you'll look into this offseason?
Yeah, Sam. So listen, I'm not obviously pointing my finger at the offensive line. I mean, we had guys that were moved around a little bit, and they take great pride in their work and busted their tail. So with the guys that are injured, that are potentially coming back or opted out or potentially coming back, we'll kind of get all that covered here in the next couple days. I don't think the outlook is bleak by any means. We should be good there. Just and then Brett will obviously keep an eye on that as he does everything, and just see how that works. But I'm optimistic going forward, and I'm proud of the guys and the effort that they gave last night.
We'll go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead,
Seren. Excuse me, Coach. A couple questions, if I could. I'm not going to ask you to go back on the officials and say this was a good call or bad call. I'm just curious if you do, like in a moment like this, want to say, hey, let's take a look at this. What is the process for, like sending things to the league, so fans would know, hey, here's the step-by-step. I know it's not going to change the outcome of the game, but just, as a course of business, how that works. And then, go ahead. I'll give you that and then I'll follow up.
So listen, we have the opportunity to voice our gripes to the league, and they do a good job on responding to it. So really, for whatever I think or what they think, the calls were made, and it's obviously it's a shame that we had that many in that big a game, and that possibly we're that close of a judgment call.
And then kind of where both the Sams, we're talking about moving forward. How does it get more difficult when you're this close to make the decision? I remember covering the Chiefs, and people in the Chiefs organization when you were with Philadelphia used to point to the Eagles and say, hey, we got to get to where the Eagles are. They're always a step ahead. They always get off the train before it goes downhill with their personnel, right? And that was you and your operation there in Philadelphia. Does it get harder though when you're here this close to make those difficult decisions and say, hey, maybe we've gone too far. There's too many injuries, or he's too old. Does that cloud your judgment when you've been in the Super Bowl the last 2 years?
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think you come in and you evaluate. You step back first, Seren, and you kind of pump the brakes for about a minute, and then you go ahead and you make those kind of judgments. Those are tough calls. That's a tough thing to do. But it's also part of the business, and coaches know it, and players know it, and it's all part of it. And so we'll do that. We're not going to change that part of it, and we'll be clear with our evaluations as we do that, and as real as we can be. Yeah.
We'll go last to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Andy, thanks for taking the time. I know you didn't mention Britt specifically last night, but I was just interested into knowing if you had been able to talk to him since the incident on Thursday night, and how he's doing after what appears to be him sustaining some injuries in the accident.
Yeah, he did. I've had a chance to talk to him. Yeah, I have. Again, my heart goes out to that young lady. I'm also a dad, so I get that. So I have concerns obviously on both sides, and Britt did have surgery. He's doing better now. That little girl, my heart goes out to her. Yeah.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Derek Donovan, Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, Chris Fickett, and Savannah Smith. Hey, for a limited time, you can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. That's right, 99 pennies a month. After 3 months, it auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless you cancel. How do you get it? You go to kansascity.com/sportspass2020. That's kansascity.com/sportspass2020. Do you want more than just sports coverage? Check out the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports, news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional news, sports, and business coverage with the e-edition. The details for all of these deals can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And if you're having trouble hunting down any of these offers, send me an email, bkirkhoff@kcstar.com, and I will get you to the right place. So whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back on Wednesday with another episode.